we doing
We're
this?
not here.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Wasn't trying to hide.
Yeah, probably not.
Welcome to Video Game Talk on the Video Game Network, your weekly dose of all the things you probably already heard on IGN, but with some attitude.
We can't help the fact that major networks get rid of exclusives, and we have to like piggyback on the scraps of knowledge that we come through here and whatnot.
We sure do. We have some exciting news for y'all today. Some release dates got announced, but today, you guessed it, Spyro, the original Spyro trilogy, Spyro Reignited they're calling it, is going to be released on what date, Garrett?
Let me just conveniently check my notes here, Richard Alvarez. Oh, I don't know. I didn't look it up.
It's September 21st. On September 21st, we're getting the whole Spyro. Guess what? I mean, like, when the Crash thing happened, I was like, oh, I guess the next thing is going to be Spyro. It was a little predictable.
We were all kind of hoping,
but
Spyro is a bigger deal for a lot of folks.
As much as I love Crash Bandicoot, I think I enjoyed Spyro more because it was the first, like, PlayStation game, at least the first good PlayStation game, to be that open world 3D in the wake of, you know, Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie. Here was the PlayStation adventure, and it worked very much in a similar way. You'd go around, there was, like, the different levels that you'd fly into, and you could burn people, you could glide. It was fantastic. I'm so glad to see it back, because since 2011 Skylanders, the only thing that Spyro's been in is Skylanders, and I was like, when are they gonna? So this is
well, I mean, that has been Skylanders has proved to be significantly more coverage and a lot more monetization than a lot of our other classic sort of like nostalgic video game characters from back in the day I've seen. So,
but just like the first three Crash Bandicoot games, the first three Spyro games were the best, and I'm glad that they are getting the same treatment, a completely redone world, beautiful HD graphics.
Hey, watch Rich Alvarez. He's live on YouTube.
Oh wait, that's us. why you gotta be showing me this? Anyways, hey, guess what? We're live. So it's really great to see everything. They brought back a lot of the old voice actors, although I believe Spyro is the guy that's been doing Spyro in Skylanders, and that's fine.
Which is fine. That's kind of like bringing back the old voice actor.
Yeah,
I'm good with that. Skylanders has obviously had a significant presence, and there's no denying that.
Oh yeah, they're remastering. It's completely remastering the soundtrack. They're basically redoing the music, but it is all the old music from the old games. And you know, it's so good. I really hope that plus the Crash really kind of brings back this old platforming nostalgia for people in a better way than maybe Yooka-Laylee did. Where we're going to start to see some either new IPs or maybe a new Crash game or a new Spyro game done in that old style, or what I was suggesting in the car on the way here, maybe a crossover. We had, some of you might remember the Crash and Spyro crossover on the Game Boy Advance, which was fine, but it was a Game Boy Advance game. I would really like to see a game...
Also, whatever, I mean, like, were they slated to appear alongside each other in that really, like just gratuitously unsuccessful kind of, like, shameless Sony's version of Smash Brothers?
Yes, but that is also true, but they are both side by side in Skylanders, too.
Oh, okay.
Like, you can be, there's, like, you know, Crash Team Racing style racing side quests in the newest Skylanders game. And, you know, also you can be Crash or Spyro, and they can work together in Skylanders, which is fine. But I'm hoping for a true single-player experience where you can, like, play as Spyro, play as Crash, or do co-op, you know, work together. I want to see a new Crash. I want to see new games of each of them, but I also want to see a new game where it's, like, this cool collaboration because... You know, there's no reason not to. I mean, come on. But even if that doesn't happen, I'm so excited.
If you were a fan of one, you were probably a fan of the other.
Oh, absolutely.
Though
I loved both.
You'd have to jump over the fact that obviously they don't exist in the same universe, probably.
Well, ish, but, you know, Skylander portals, you know. Anyways, so they could bring in a little bit of that. Whatever. Doesn't matter because it's awesome. I'm really excited for this. And, you know, along with the Crash Trilogy finally coming to the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, thank you, Grave
Of course,
Digger.
this will kind of be...
Battle Royale, that's what we're referring to.
This will kind of be the same thing. Spyro will be released September 21st for the PS4 and the Xbox One, and then Switch and PC, like, next year, later down the road. But either way, I'll probably get it for the PS4 then, because I have it. Might as well
I'll get it for the Switch because it's the only console I own.
Yeah. So, I'm really jazzed about that. Oh, so good. By the way, if you're new to Video Game Network, we usually spend the first 40 minutes
By
just
the way,
doing this, talking about stuff, and then
Yeah.
we'll save the last 10 to 20 minutes talking to you, answering your live questions right here on the
Yeah.
YouTubes. And hey, if you're watching this post-live, if it's already a solid video that's not live anymore, leave a comment. We will get back to you as soon as we can for your lovely faces. Go ahead and leave a like. Either way, please like this video. If you haven't given this video a thumbs up, what's wrong with you? Did you forget your coffee in the morning? Give this video a
More
flippin'
like
thumbs up.
they had their coffee and just haven't been reminded of how gratuitously brutal the YouTube algorithm is.
That's fine.
Oh man, it's bad.
I had my coffee today, in case you couldn't tell. In fact, I had a can of Bang, a new energy drink that has 300 milligrams of caffeine. I was gonna say cocaine. 300 milligrams of
Cocaine! I'd be like,
No.
oh wow, what a strange thing to admit on a live stream, Richie. Also, I read the ingredients. There's no cocaine in your drink. You are maybe a little bit misinformed.
No, 300 milligrams of caffeine. So I'm like,
Wow, 300 milligrams of cocaine? That drink could be like $80 a can.
I can't do the scream today. That's how I feel. So, like that. Rich is weird.
Rich is weird, Lamau.
What's new?
Oh
Anyways.
man, I had a slow day at work and I'm feeling a little manic. We're gonna film a sketch after this.
Anyways, bringing it back, Spyro.
Right, Spyro.
So Garrett, what was your experience with Spyro as a kid, or is this something you didn't get to play till
No,
later?
I owned a PlayStation, so I did get to play this one. I as you guys know, I was not a really dedicated console fan while growing up. I played a little bit of PlayStation 1, a little bit of Game Boy Color, but other than that, I was pretty much building and gaming on computers from a young age. That was just kind of what I was into, so that's whatever. Spyro, however, was one that I can say that I've got some time in. I've got some hours in Spyro. My brother Mason, who is not a gamer, for those of you who know, he was in Super Mario Brothers Fight Choir, whatever. He had never really liked video games. He never got into them. He was never a big part of them, but he loved Spyro. So Spyro, growing up, was one of the few games I could play with my brother, who was typically and forever since disinterested in games. But so whenever I think of Spyro, I think of Mason.
Oh, good.
And so that's a good one, because that was a lot of the time that we spent together early on, especially playing video games. I tried to talk him into playing anything else. He wasn't down, but he loves Spyro.
Awesome.
So I'm really excited. He doesn't know, so I'm really excited to go be like, hey, Spyro's coming back. You
Because
know?
he doesn't watch this show.
No, he doesn't. Yeah.
And he has not.
He's
heard
at
the
work
news.
right now. Runs a karate school.
EDMG7 brings up a good point. Yeah, since the PlayStation All-Star Battle Royale didn't work, of course it didn't work out, would you like to see Crash and Spyro in Smash Brothers instead?
I'd love it. Yeah, that's great. Although,
Yes,
I
please.
I have really no issue with seeing them together in any game.
I need them together everywhere.
My thought earlier was like, I know we live in a world where licensing and that sort of issue sort of dominates a lot of the crossover conversations, but at this point, if you're a fan of Crash Bandicoot, you at least like Spyro. And if you're a fan of Spyro, you at least like Crash Bandicoot.
That's right.
That feels like a tremendous majority of the user base in both of those games. So crossover seems pretty natural, and I know like everybody's always thirsty for crossover these days, and it's not always a really good idea. I'm always trying to tell people like, hey, like let's back off on the crossovers, but this one I like. This one I like.
Like we were saying, I mean, everybody likes Crash and Spyro. If you, what do you like if you don't like Crash and Spyro? I don't know. Maybe Spider-Man? Segway!
No. I still have questions for you on Spyro.
Oh, okay. Well,
also,
Segway coming soon. It's one of those Segways where the batteries
did we not
died.
pre-agree upon an order in which to discuss things? You just jumped 4 bullets.
That's okay. We can come back. We'll come back.
Okay,
Segway's
we'll come
dead.
back.
Batteries are dead. Yeah.
My question to you before we move on was, how do you feel the Spyro remake is going to hold up? The Crash Bandicoot remake has been heralded as a very visually striking port of the old game, but it also inherited a lot of the old problems. It inherited bad camera controls. It inherited frustrating jumping mechanics and a lot of things that were really permissible in old game tech, but now that we live in a world where so much of the animations are seamless and so much of the process isn't just getting a jump executed right, How do you think the Spyro remake is going to
So
do?
here's where they screwed up with Crash Bandicoot. With Crash Bandicoot, my favorite of the first 3 Crash Bandicoots was definitely the third one, Crash Bandicoot Warped.
I think objectively the
And
best Crash game they made.
Crash, in that original game, he moves a little bit faster, jumps a little bit higher, and does a few things differently than he did in the first 2 games. However, here's where the dev team got a little lazy. They just they remastered all the levels and everything from all 3 games, but they kept his movement consistent throughout all 3. In other words, he ran just as fast and jumped just as high in all 3 games, and it was, I want to say, it was the closest to how he moved in the original first game. So it makes playing Crash 3 really frustrating.
Yeah, because
it's hard to make those jumps. When
Right,
he
in the
only jumps
original
as high
game,
in the
they
first
had
one.
buffed those up. He was
Yeah.
faster and he jumped further in the remakes. Or in the original
Right.
sequels, but he doesn't in the remake.
Right,
He
so-
jumps and is just as the same speed as Crash 1.
Right, so because they didn't take the time to tweak him in each individual game and kept him consistent throughout, it made Crash 2 and especially Crash 3 very frustrating to play for me. I'm so used to playing, I can almost speedrun a lot of those Crash Warped levels, and with the remake, I'm like, I gotta get used to this way, and it's like, it doesn't flow nearly as well, gameplay-wise, because his movements are in my opinion, a little lacking. However, here's where I have hope for Spyro.
They didn't do that in Spyro.
Spyro, his moves are always the same.
Yeah, he's the same exact movement base.
So it doesn't matter. He maybe has a couple more different special moves in the sequels, but for the most part, with the difference being that in Crash, the third one was the best. In Spyro, the first one was definitely the best. So whatever they're gonna do, it's gonna be focused on that first one. So it doesn't even matter to me if it's screwed up in the second two. Well, it does a little bit, but my point is his moves didn't really change. Spyro moved exactly the same, so there's less to screw up right there.
Certainly that portion of it. I would love to see, maybe, as much as I know this is going to be essentially a direct port with graphics updated and a few other things and whatnot, I'd love to see the dev team spend a little bit more time on just kind of rounding out the corners and making sure everything's all good before they push it out. Now that Crash has, I get it, Crash, they weren't sure how a remake was going to do. Crash is out. It had veritable success in the market. It's performing well commercially. I think now here's the time to just say it's justified to spend a little bit more time on the conversion.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. All right, can we move on?
Yes, we can move on.
All right, and I'll move on in the order we agreed on.
You don't have to. I was just giving you shit, but we might as well.
Skyrim is finally out in VR, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's Skyrim again.
In VR.
But in VR.
So, I know that you're like, yeah, duh, but like, I don't know. How many people are jumping at the bin to, spend another $60 on Skyrim?
Not me, not this time.
Yeah.
I'm capping it off. I have 4 or 5 other versions of Skyrim. I love it. It's one of my favorite games of all time, but I cannot buy it again. I also don't even have a VR set, so easy for me.
I have a VR set,
Yeah,
and I
so
was playing it the other day and was reminded of how fun it can be. Though,
Foos.
we have yet, I feel, it still feels wildly unfinished, the whole VR experience, but it is unique.
Hockey Song says,
VR overrated. I don't know, man. I really enjoy my VR. That being said, I get why people trash on it because it's so underdeveloped right now. There's just, like the resolutions aren't holding up. A lot of direct ports don't perform well. The constraints and moreover, the cost of the actual unit is egregious.
It doesn't matter, because you know what else was underdeveloped? Me, when I came out 2 weeks early, when I was born. Do-do-do. Hey, jokes right here on
Why
Video
did
Game
you
Network.
say that?
Doesn't matter.
Oh boy, we're in it. Okay, but unlike the underdeveloped fetus joke that just came through this YouTube channel, let's talk about the very thoroughly overcooked, borderline burnt to a crisp franchise that is Skyrim. It is the most overdone at this point. The most overdone.
Please. Oh, yeah, please. Just give us
okay?
just give us Elder Scrolls 6, please.
I know, right?
Todd
An announcement. Something.
Please,
come
Todd
on.
Howard.
Throw me a freaking bone, Bethesda!
Anyways, That's it. We have to move on. We have to
No, I'm just gonna. I'll finish my pitch.
I have
Anyway.
too many emotions.
Anyway,
you speak.
I don't think any of our user base are big VR fans. In fact, I think you guys mostly enjoy shitting on it. But here's all the ammunition you need to know from an objective standpoint. If any of your friends or any of your buddies or any of your personal guys that own a VR set are like, oh, I wonder about Skyrim VR. It is literally Skyrim in VR. There's no significant changes. There's only the basic bare minimum done to the game in order to get it to work in VR. If you're somebody who's incredibly comfortable with these sort of weird motion, sort of things that have VR, and are somebody who's really used to troubleshooting the kind of resolution problems that come from VR, then great. You can now experience Skyrim in VR. It has a lot of the same problems I had with Fallout VR in terms of the fact that melee combat's a little clunky, and I am not completely in love with it.
That's bad in Skyrim.
I know, it's not. It wasn't as bad in Fallout because there's not as much melee combat in Fallout, but in Skyrim, ooh, not so great. It's better, but it's not perfect.
I mean, if you melee in Fallout, I mean, what are you doing? It's, you play Skyrim because Fallout's forgotten.
In response to Marty Man's comment, there are VR battle royale games in development.
Yes,
I have yet to see one that I really like though. Yeah. So don't hold your breath. That's all I want to say on that one. I don't want to talk about Skyrim anymore.
Cool. Now can we talk about the complete ripoff of Portal that is Wormhole Wars?
Oh my god. See, okay, I was actually kind of into this game, but Richie is super salty about it.
You know how Portal was really cool because it was like a puzzle game, and you'd shoot your portals and you'd end up somewhere else. You'd go across the room and now you're falling and you hit the other place. Imagine that, but for some reason you just gotta play Call of Duty at the exact same time. Wormhole Wars for all of the people that needed that for some reason.
Well,
not Portal 3. Goodness no. Wormhole Wars. Gotta shoot them up while you're stewing stuff. I don't know. I lost my rhyme thought.
I know. Whatever. Anyway, for those of you who maybe need a little bit more background on exactly what Richie is just sort of like...
Some subtext.
Yeah, some subtext and context to what Richie is just mindlessly ranting about. There is a game that currently entered its alpha phase called Wormhole Wars. Check it out on YouTube or on their website. Looks interesting, clearly in alpha development. The graphics aren't there yet. The gameplay is very basic. It's exactly what you would expect from an alpha game. I'm not ratting on it for being an alpha game. Let me make that super freaking clear. Meanwhile, what Wormhole Wars essentially is a multiplayer shooter a la... Rich says Call of Duty. I really see a lot of Halo in it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of Halo 1 Combat Evolved,
because
but...
it's sci-fi.
Right.
To it, of course.
I know, but it looks like Halo. It feels like Halo in the gameplay that I saw.
The gun actually did remind me of the Halo rifle a lot.
Yeah, and the motion and the graphics, I don't know, whatever. We have some incongruities on this. I think it really looks like Halo 1, but with a portal gun. Essentially. So I think all of the same sort of crap that you experienced with Halo, but all of a sudden that there's a portal gun involved, and that is what it is for multiplayer purposes.
Sure.
But make of that what you will, I guess.
But you had a question with this game.
I suppose I did. Oh, yeah. Well, my first question was that I kind of wrote to myself in the notes. I was like, what does Valve have to say about this? Apparently nothing.
No.
Valve doesn't own the concept of a portal. They just own the portal-esque sort of motion. And it looks a bit derivative in the way that I see it in the game, but not so derivative that I think trouble will amount to it. Anyway, time will tell if Valve, sort of rains on their parade or whatnot. I don't think they have a tremendous amount of room to, but they might.
Then ask the next question.
Do we need another multiplayer shooter?
Yes, Jesus Christ! I throw the chair at the desk.
Why?
We need another multiplayer shooter, and here's freaking why.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
What do we need, Rich? Okay.
All right. We need a multiplayer shooter, but we need it to actually be like a classic multiplayer shooter. None of this like, oh, we're going to get 4 bros together and play at house. Oh, wait a minute. No, we each have to have our own console and play online together. Ah! No! No more of that, please! Go back to the 4-way split screen of the good old days of GoldenEye,
shooters.
Halo. Yeah, if it really wants to be like Halo, it'll do the 4-player split screen. No, none of that. No, but the frame rate will drop. You fucking made it work before. Make it work now. 4-player split screen or I will leave this house. I will leave. I won't because I'm here for the next 40 minutes.
Yeah, and also you're staying here tonight because you have to leave in the morning. Yeah, I literally set your bed up in the other room.
Jesus Christ, please give us an actual multiplayer where we can have a party and feel good about playing with our friends in the same freaking room.
I need to get excited and get out of my seat before the end of the night too. Jesus. You're really up in the ante. I was like the hyper one before we started the show, and now you're like just absolutely mobbing. All right, cool, whatever. We need another multiplayer shooter, apparently local co-op. Maybe Richie will forgive the unthinkable transgression of this game looking like Portal if all of a sudden some split screen appears.
Yeah, give me split screen, I'll be sound as a pound.
Okay, sound as a pound. You heard it here first, folks. YouTube exclusive. YouTube's Rich Alvarez. Sound as a pound. Fucking Wormhole Wars. Portal? Is Valve gonna have a problem? Another multiplayer shooter? Sure. Split screen? Great.
It's like, yeah, will it be unique enough? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. If it has split screen, well, there's the uniqueness. Apparently local multiplayer is such an unbelievable amount of like difficulty that, well, it's just not popular. I get it. I get why it's not popular commercially. Okay.
Sure. They think.
I want it though. I want it.
All right. I'm sorry.
Therefore, I'm gonna talk about things like they should be the way that I want them. Whatever. I'm just a YouTube critic. It's fine.
Next.
Okay.
Now, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Because apparently, if you don't like, we were watching IGN's review of this game earlier, and apparently, if you don't like Spider-Man, what do you even like?
Yeah, if you don't like Spider-Man,
Sound off in chat if you don't like Spider-Man, and I'm not talking about.
God.
I'm not talking about like, are you indifferent to Spider-Man? I'm not talking about like, I don't really have an opinion on Spider-Man. And I'm talking about like, Spider-Man's alright. I prefer other superheroes. I'm talking about, raise your hand in chat if you're like, I actively don't like Spider-Man. That is a stupid character, he's dumb, and I wish that he would just disappear from the superhero universe.
I need,
please sound off in chat, because guys, according to VGN, you don't exist.
Spider-Man is the people's hero, guys.
He is!
Really, if you think he's so great, forget about some of the bad movies. Forget the movies, the comics.
Yeah, dude, I'm not asking if you didn't like the Spider-Man movies, because they were a thing.
Irrelevant to my point, because the only true Spider-Man is the comic Spider-Man. I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
So, guys, Spider-Man.
Are falling off and...
Okay. All right. So, guys, Spider-Man is great.
Yeah.
And you
I'm talking
like
about Spider-Man
him
as a concept. I understand some of you aren't going to like the Spider-Man movie. That's fine.
What do you like if you don't like Spider-Man?
Yeah, right?
All right, I'm good.
Whatever.
But this game looks fantastic.
Should we talk about the game, I guess?
Yeah, let's talk about the game.
Okay. Anyway, Spider-Man, September 7th.
Yes, set your alarm clocks for September 7th. In fact, set them for September 6th so you don't forget to get in line at your local game store to buy Spider-Man.
Because
it's going to be fantastic.
It's looking great.
It looks
really
good.
It is earnestly looking to be a phenomenal execution of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about it enough. It took all those things that were great about like the Batman Arkham games, but now you can web sling.
But like Spider-Man also has had a really successful history of video games, especially those first ones that were on the PlayStation and PlayStation 2. Mm-hmm. Those were great. Those were great. Those were super good. And now we're like seeing the modern rehash of those with a lot of the new technological developments and a lot of the Arkham engine, making an appearance and a lot of that sort of style of gameplay. And every single piece of media I see for this game looks great. I don't know if it's a ruse, but right now I'm convinced.
Right. It is a Sony game, so it will be, at least at first, the first year, it'll be exclusive to the PS4.
Right.
So, I mean, I'll be playing it, and it'll be great. Hopefully Garrett will play it someday.
I'll get to it. Whatever. I'm gonna hang out. I'm gonna find a way.
Cool.
So that's cool.
Life finds a way.
Life. Go ahead and check out our last week's episode if you're interested in discussing Jurassic Park and its many contributions.
Ellen! Alright.
So, it's interesting because this kind of segues into our other topics, but Spider-Man kicks off the biz nasty of this year. The business is in September and onwards. We were wondering, where are the games this year? Where are the releases? It turns out they're September and onwards. Apparently, the 2018 lull of gaming that we've been talking about, this whole, like, you're not going to see a lot of games in 2018, this whole, like, thing that we've been discussing over and over and over, is like, where are the games? Where are the releases? What's going on? So I hope E3 sets the record straight. I guess September and on is just going to be jam-packed with blockbuster games.
Right, so September 7th, we get Spider-Man. The very next week, on September 14th, we get the new Tomb Raider game, the third in this new... the third game in this new Tomb Raider series.
Remember how numbers work, Richard.
They announced it the same day as we talked about. They announced it the same same day that the movie came out. The movie didn't do so well and was not very well received.
No,
so
neither
I hope
critically
that
nor commercially.
I hope that doesn't hurt sales of this game, though, because the new Tomb Raider game series has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And this new one looks fantastic, and I would hate for it to be hurt by, some crappy video game movie that didn't do very well. So.
Right, that tried to rehash an existing and proven to be failed formula. Okay, whatever.
But
Never
I mean,
mind.
this franchise survived those Angelina movies, so they'll...
I don't know,
Tomb
man.
Raider's gonna be fine.
I'm not going to get into this debate with you on Video Game Network, but I
Sure.
didn't mind the Angelina Jolie
And then-
movies as much.
3 weeks later, on October 12th, we get Black Ops 4.
Which, honestly, I didn't even know was happening until today. I was
What?
like, oh, Black Ops 4? What do you know? Interesting.
Because, Activision just can't help themselves. They can't think of something new. Not only do they have to stick to Call of Duty, but they have to stick to the same treads that Call of Duty has already done.
Right.
So, no, it's not Call of Duty, blah, blah, blah. It's just another Black Ops game. And I will
Right.
say that the Black Ops games have probably been some of the strongest entries in the Call of
Agreed.
Duty franchise.
I'm excited to see another Black Ops.
I don't know. Did I need another Black Ops? Probably
That's
not.
the better question, is do
Yeah.
we need another Black
No.
Ops? To which the answer is, I don't know. I'm going to have to see what it is, because right now, if you compare, like, the games that have been doing semi-futuristic sort of combat in comparison to, like, Black Ops 3, and then, like, take modern, or the Future Warfare, sort of series and whatnot that they've been doing on the more...
Advanced
like,
Warfare,
yeah.
all that crap.
That whole sort of thing. I will say that Black Ops 3 has objectively been the best. It has performed the best both critically and commercially. So the idea that we're going to continue into the future warfare spectrum with the sort of stuff that Black Ops has been sitting down has been great. I don't know if I need another Call of Duty game, but Black Ops is a welcome addition.
They looked into the brain trust. They pulled out another Call of Duty game, another Black Ops, but that's what they do over at Activision, which is why Lucasfilm might be looking into Activision being their new licensor for Star Wars games. Makes sense, because they have failed to poop out a Call of Duty game every year or something.
They have. And you know what? Honestly, I'm fine with that. Call of Duty's a tired franchise, and the fact that I'm just now finding out about Black Ops 4 is indicative of the fact that I'm not somebody who's going actively seeking for for Call of Duty information.
So, you heard it here first. Next year, Call of Duty Tatooine Swarm. Which I would play.
I could F with a Star Wars Call of Duty.
It's gonna happen, guys.
I mean,
It's
we
like-
already kind of are there.
EA is just hanging on my thread, trying to keep that live. Oh, we're doing an MMO, guys. I cannot.
Well, we
insult
got an
EA
appearance.
enough.
We got an appearance of the Burr voice. Well done, man. Richie, I'll make fun of EA games. Burr, I wear Ray-Bans.
Yeah, that. Anyways, and then
That's how you sound.
I don't sound like that. And then 2 weeks later, after that, on October 26th, we get Red Dead 2, which is actually Red Dead 0 because it's a prequel to the original game.
Right.
And sadly, no, you don't play as a younger John Marston. You play as a different member of that same gang that he was a part of. But, I mean, I love the character of John Marston, but we really played to be a badass in the Old West, and that's exactly what you're going to get. In fact, I would say because Red Dead Redemption took place in 1912, they kind of really played it loose with the timeline a little bit because the Old West was practically dead at that point, so it's good to see. I think this is like 30 years
1912,
earlier.
World War I was happening in Europe.
Yeah,
Machine
yeah.
gun fire was like a main thing there.
So this one's like 1880, which is way more.
There we
way
go. I
More
mean, that's a
Old West.
Wild West game.
The Wild
Yeah.
Wild West. The Wild Wild West. No, that movie sucks. All right. Anyways, so yeah, we're finally getting some of these release dates. A lot of these release dates I wasn't expecting to hear anything from till E3, but they're releasing now, which makes me wonder, what are they saving for E3, and is it going to be glorious?
Or is it going to be a tremendous letdown? Or has the industry completely given up on E3 as a commercial, like, hog garden of when all the information has to be saved up for?
Hockey Song would like to remind you that World War I started in 1914 and not 1912.
I know, but like you get what I mean. Like, we're practically into a new era of history at that point. A much more modernized one where, automation and industrialization has taken over the countries in a very, very meaningful way, and the concept, the very, very tired and revisited concept of the Wild West had died or faded into largely memory. certainly, while it existed in certain pockets, as is pointed out by not only historical evidence but the fictional games such as Red Dead, it had failed to, or it no longer existed in its glory, its full shorn days.
Sure.
Civilization was coming to California, civilization was coming to the West and whatnot, and the rampant sort of exposure and sort of feralness that was the West had largely died out with the expansion of industrialization.
But I would argue, though, that the problems that led to World War I were very prevalent in 1912 and before.
Right.
But so, I mean, everyone's like, oh, it's like, what do you say is the official start date of World War I? When Germany announced that they were going to war with the rest of Europe,
How'd that work out for them?
It didn't, both times.
Yeah. The worst document I maintained, I wrote a paper in my history class one time that the Treaty of Versailles was the worst piece of documentation ever signed by human hands. But we're way off topic.
I will look back at the audience when they acknowledge Spider-Man. Have they acknowledged Spider-Man yet?
Hey, audience, Richie is upset with you because you are failing to acknowledge Spider-Man.
Acknowledge him!
Maybe you could throw him a bone or don't. I don't know.
Spider-Man.
He's not going anywhere.
Spider-Man! Spider-Man does whatever a Spider-Man does.
Is that how that goes?
No.
Is it? I think you maybe misconstrued that a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We love Spider-Man. Spider-Man is awesome.
Yay! Hi, I'm YouTube's Rich Alvarez.
Okay, look, it's everybody. It's YouTube's Rich Alvarez here on the Video Game Network. Join us for a freaking disaster of a show.
Ha!
Hi.
We're the most ludicrous video game network out there.
Ooh! Oh man, yeah. Here we go. Anyway.
Anyways, I think we just kind of, we talked so fast and we were so enthralled by all the things we wanted to talk about that I think we've ran through all the news today.
Well, I'm not quite done talking about Red Dead.
Oh, okay,
I
sure.
just want to point out that, like, Red Dead has been the big arrival point of 2018. And, I was expecting it to be alone in sort of the Q4 releases for big AAA titles, but it's looking like it's going to be joined by Black Ops, it's going to be joined by Tomb Raider, it's going to be joined by Spider-Man. There's going to be other activity going on, and I was also sort of laughing at the fact that everybody now is in a push to get their games out before Red Dead comes out. Have you noticed that, like, a lot of...
Red... I mean, to be fair, Red Dead is still the game I'm looking forward to the most.
Right.
Spider-Man might be a close second, but I love the original Red Dead, and I cannot wait to go back into that world.
It's going to be a good one. And to whatever, minus whatever bogus historical point we were attempting to make earlier, I think 1880 is going to be a phenomenal setting for the Wild West. I'm very, very excited by the promise this game shows, and I'm on board with the idea that Rockstar has perhaps spent the time necessary to make this game actually work. I'm all for delays when they are appropriate, and I'm hoping that we don't get another one, but I'm down if it comes about. This game will hopefully be promising.
Yeah.
Everything I've seen so far, especially considering a lot of other developers have responded in turn with, like, trying very hard to get their games out before Red Dead comes crashing in and ruins the market. And usually a developer wouldn't do that unless they were very concerned with a game, like, outperforming theirs.
Now, here's a question, and we've gotten this question in our question segments before, but I feel like it's now more relevant now that we have all these release dates for things coming out. Is there anything still that you were expecting or are still expecting to happen that is not officially announced yet?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of things are going to come about when E3 actually, like, becomes a thing and whatnot. I can't think of anything that I've really, really been looking forward to that hasn't been announced or whatnot. I had been following the Anthem project for a while, and then I saw the actual gameplay, and I was like, meh, all right, I guess, sure.
I mean, obviously, we do not have official release dates yet for, of course, Kingdom Hearts 3 or the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
To be announced, maybe, at this year's E3. That's why I'm saying, like, this all seems great.
And what about that Chrono Trigger remake?
Wait. That's probably never going to happen, sadly. So, I mean, yeah, we've got, obviously Red Dead, Spider-Man, Wormhole Wars is another good one coming out. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. These are all big games, but nothing like
people have been starting to sink their teeth into Far Cry 5, and my understanding is it's pretty good.
Yeah, well, that's out.
Actually I know it's out, but like it's out in a way where I think the general population has kind of digested it.
Right. But I mean, as far as what's coming this year, Red Dead we were expecting. obviously a Call of Duty game was coming out. The Tomb Raider was not necessarily guaranteed for this year, but it was expected. And we've known about Spider-Man for 2 years now. So we have still yet to see a AAA game this year that wasn't expected. And usually we do get one of those around this time.
Right.
So will
where
that
it's kind
be...
of like, whoa, I didn't think there is one worth mentioning that I'm sure is on like no one's radar, and that's Phoenix Point. Phoenix Point is going to be a December 2018 release, and it is by the OG.
Oh my God, Crazy Hannah, you're so late. Where were you?
She came in earlier. It's all right. Also, Archie has arrived.
Oh, good.
Yes, hello, my friend.
My friend.
La la la. Phoenix Point is not going to be on almost anybody's radar, but Phoenix Point is basically the current collaboration of the original OG 1990s XCOM team. The team that put together the original XCOM, which, to those of you unfamiliar, was a brutal, horrific, high-scale difficulty turn-based strategy game of tactical proportions beyond our comprehension that shattered the kind of the high difficulty market in a way that kind of made it the Dark Souls of its day.
You don't say.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the remake has succeeded in being a game that I love deeply, but many of the hardcore fans have said that it never really touched on that level of brutality, that level of unapologetic scope and scale and unforgivingness that the original franchise did. To which I feel that's just objectively correct. I don't know if that's something that you're looking for. Anyway, that team is back together, at least in terms of its core leadership, is back together in a big way to create a game called Phoenix Point, which looks great.
Phoenix Point!
It's going to be released in the very, 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 very tail end of 2018 at this particular point. So
there's another one to look forward to.
Yeah, that's one that's very interesting for me because I'm a big XCOM 2 fan. For those of you who followed my time on Twitch and whatnot, you know that I played a lot of XCOM 2 and I really enjoyed the crap out of the sort of journey that the new XCOM sort of gave and the level of customization. I'm a big sucker for that sort of stuff, and a lot of it's making a reappearance in Phoenix Point. So that's cool.
Let's not forget another AAA game that is coming out this year but doesn't have an official locked-in release date is Smash Bros. For the Switch.
Yeah, that's you can't get away from that one. We did spend like a whole episode. Literally, the only time we spent a whole episode, start to finish, 1 hour nonstop talking about a video game was when the Smash game got announced.
Absolutely, and that is our most viewed video game talk.
Yeah,
because people just can't get enough of the Smash Bros. But obviously we'll play it a lot. But I really wish they would that's something I know Nintendo will wait till E3 to lock down the date because they want to see what everyone else does with their dates.
Right.
And then they'll be like, okay, well, we'll just F up your day here.
We're just going to go ahead and now. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I say we're an age now. That's really good. Speaking of how it should have ended, did I have a dream? Are they making a video game, a how it should have ended video game, or was that a dream I had? If it was a dream I had, then please actually make that video game, because I could have sworn I saw something about them making a how it should have ended video game. Or maybe there already is one. Garrett's Googling it right now. No, I think that they just...
I think you made that up.
I think
freaking crazy person.
Guess who should make a video game? How it should have ended. It'd be funny. It'd be great.
Would that just be like just a referential nonstop deep cut of it just shitting on other games that didn't end correctly?
Yes.
Like an unceasing sort of like one universe where all these video games exist in some sort of commercial free environment. It's just like, your ending was garbage, your ending was garbage, your ending was garbage. Here's some Star Wars. We don't know how the licensing works.
So Aerith doesn't die. Uncharted ends at 3.
Right. What is a Suicide Squad? I don't know. Like, it just is what it is. Yeah, I don't know. For the few people who are asking about our Smash iteration, we won't launch into it too much. Just know that we spent a full hour discussing what we thought, what we were excited for, our reactions to the trailer, and then we spent literally about 45 minutes in of itself just hashing out hypotheticals from characters that will very likely make an appearance all the way out to Dig Dug, Shaq Fu, Battletoads,
Pepsi
like,
Man.
Yeah, Pepsi Man, and like all these other characters that would be cool in some universe, but probably won't make an appearance. Go check out that other one. It is like readily available. So that's all good. DeKalen says how it should have ended. Back to the Future and Terminator were the best one.
Awesome. I haven't yet to watch it, but I will definitely get to it.
We'll check that out. There's a lot of those
Woo!
episodes, and I don't know. Sometimes they feel a little pretentious.
So it's a little hot in this room, guys. You know, it's like when we lock ourselves in here and the giant computers fan,
Right.
and if there's no windows, it gets a little hot. Oh my god.
Gravedigger saying he'd freaking main Pepsi Man.
Yeah.
To which I say, Godspeed, you magnificent human. Go get it. Main Pepsi Man. Pepsi Smash Man. Anyway, guess what, guys? It's question time.
Question time!
Question time. We'll be taking your video game themed questions here on out, either for the next 15 minutes or until they're done, which honestly might be soon, given the climate of things and whatnot. Keep your questions on topic. We want to hear questions about what we want to see in 2018. What's going to make this video season better? How do you guys feel about remakes? Whether them be very specific remakes, like Shadow of the Colossus or Crash Bandicoot. The very similar issues that exist with those two games. Or whether or not just remakes at large. Do you have a remake that should be made that hasn't been made? Maybe make a case for how a remake wouldn't ruin it? I don't know. Let me know. Let me know right now. Oh, DeKalen, what do you think Gex should come back? Gex was garbage and shouldn't come back.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I liked Gex. I liked Gex. I think it was a little bit cantankerous and a little bit sort of like... I think it thinks that... Have you ever played a game that I think thinks it's a really great game, but is in reality... just a little gimmicky? I want to say Gex was that way a little bit.
Here's how I feel about the Gex series. Out of the three main ones that they made, the second one, Gex Enter the Gecko, was definitely the best. But anybody who watched the old, like, if you happen to catch my Twitch a couple of years ago, I did do a Let's Play of Gex Enter the Gecko, and it does not hold up. Unlike Crash and Spyro, which has timeless gameplay where if you just update the graphics, it still works. Gex,
you couldn't do that with Gex.
No,
like it would,
it's
or
so
you could, but it would have to be like a
tiring.
$10 just Nintendo Store game or something.
I would say they definitely couldn't do with Gex what they've done with Crash and Spyro. They'd have to make a completely different game to be playable.
Also, a lot of the parody references in that game are wildly outdated now.
Yeah, that's another.
You can't like make a game with Matrix spoofs in it anymore and have kids just be like, "Yeah, I understand what's going on."
So they'd have to make a completely new game, and at that point, it's like, who still cares about Gex? You know? Would it sell enough money to the effort that? Probably none of those answers. The answers to all that is no. So I loved Gex at the time, but it does not still hold up.
I think Gex will stay in the past,
unless
we see something radically different, like not a Gex remake, but a full blown Gex sequel. At which point, I would have no idea what that game would look like, and I would need to be sold on that concept.
I wouldn't say no to Gex and Smash though.
Gex and Smash, all right, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, cool. I think that's our answer. Gex and Smash is how you do that properly. Hockey Sog asking, if you had the opportunity to shut down EA, would you take it? I wouldn't, but I would change a lot.
Infrastructure needs to be complete. Yeah, I wouldn't.
If you remove EA games from the market in general, like you lose a tremendous amount of just the production capacity of video games.
You can't just shut them down. First of all, thousands of people would be out of a job.
Right.
There's plenty of great talent over there. You just have to change the infrastructure a little bit.
Right.
The marketing team needs to go.
I think EA Games is actually one huge leadership shakeup away from actually being a functional or like a really functional and beloved company again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I understand they're doing what they need to do to survive, and they have their place in the marketplace that they're trying to take over to the best of their ability. But I think an upper level restructuring of EA Games would and make maybe a fundamental shift in their mission would bring them back in the forefront in a major way. They have so much momentum. I couldn't in good faith kill it. I would just redirect it.
Hannah wants a remastered Banjo-Kazooie, and I will remind her that Rare Replay on the Xbox One has a lot of old Rare games, and one of them is Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, for what it's worth. And it is the Xbox 360 arcade versions with updated graphics So you've already gotten your wish.
Yeah, it's essentially a remastered version, or more like a remastered version that came out would be redundant.
Oh, completely re-res graphics. It's pretty close to what you're getting with Crash and Spyro. So yeah, so you can play the revised Banjo-Kazooie on the Xbox One right now.
Yeah.
So there you go.
She can't wait for Kingdom Hearts 2018. Don't hold your breath.
More like 2020.
Yeah, maybe 2019.
Marty Mans has some question about Sonic. I don't care about Sonic.
Wait, come on! What are your impressions
know,
of the Sonic
I'm
Mania
just
Plus
being an
DLC, the new racing game, Part 5 in the animated web series? None of which are particularly remarkable to me. I'm sorry, buddy. I know you love Sonic and that's cool, but I haven't been impressed with Sonic for a while.
Sonic 1, 2, 3, and then Sonic and Knuckles. That is it, my friend. Succotash after that.
Succotash.
Succotash.
Yeah. E.T. for Smash says Gravedigger. You know what? You're right.
Now, Stupid Smash Bros. Asked how we feel about Secret of Mana remake, and like 2 or 3 episodes ago, we
lit it up.
Yeah, we hate it. Short answer.
I don't hate it.
I hate it.
I'm underwhelmed.
Because I love the original. I hate the remake because it's trash.
I'm disappointed and underwhelmed.
No.
That is my word. They had so many opportunities to make the gameplay more fluid and to do little things to kind of breathe life into the game other than just polish up the graphics and go, here you go.
EDMG7 says we need a remake of the E.T. game, which Gravedigger says E.T. for Smash. We
Yeah.
don't need a remake of the E.T. game because the E.T. game is infamous for being a piece of crap.
It wasn't just a piece of crap, Richie. It was so bad it almost destroyed the video game industry.
Yeah.
It was this completely overinvested in. Everybody bought into this ET video game. It was going to be the big thing. Developers and investors flocked from all over to get behind it and like put a bunch of money into it. And it was objectively one of the worst investments in American economics history. It was so bad that video games almost didn't find investors. Like any video game,
Right.
almost didn't find investors. It sent the industry back to the Stone Age. So that's all good.
Yeah. Hockey Song asked, should there be an Indiana
How weird
Jones?
is it that somebody from our comment section just showed up at my house?
Hockey-
D-Rock is here, ladies and gentlemen, to film No Pain, No Game.
Soon.
Ooh.
But we're a few episodes ahead. He'll be in episode 4. You've only seen 1 so far.
Yeah.
But please watch No Pain, No Game.
Actually, episode 2 was so fun to shoot. You guys are in for a treat on Saturday.
Anyways, Hockey Song says, should there be an Indiana Jones video game? And I will remind him that there was one on the N64 and one on the PlayStation, and they were both
There was a point-and-click PC adventure as well.
Oh shit, that's right. There was that as well. Now, if the
That
question
thing was great.
should there be a new
was
Indiana Jones
ridiculous.
video game? Just play the first 3 Uncharted games.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Those are great.
Pretty much.
Do I really need an IP Indiana Jones game? I don't know.
No.
Maybe, but if it's good, but
It's gonna
I
be
don't- I
weird
don't
because
need it.
like Harrison Ford probably won't voice it. If he does, he sounds different. Then there's like another person like what is to be gained? I would say what is to be gained that hasn't already been done very well by Uncharted. I'm a soft no on that. I'm a soft no. So
Crazy Anna says she does not own an Xbox, and then I'm sorry you cannot play the Banjo remake.
I know.
Since Banjo
If anything, they should bring that Banjo remake to the Switch store.
they should, but they won't because Microsoft owns Banjo-Kazooie.
And you know what Microsoft does to EPs? It holds them and suckles them with their little vampiric teeth. They're like, oh, hello.
You will experience
Hello.
the
This
power
is an
of the
empty
Xbox.
glass, but I'm going to attempt to drink it anyway because I am Microsoft. These EPs are so tasty. Oh man. So that's all good. What do you think of Undertale for Switch? Great. Undertale
Cool.
is a phenomenal game. I don't quite get their fandom. The Undertale fandom is kind of a notoriously aggressive group of people, which is weird for a game that's conceptually based 100% around the concept of mercy. But that's a social commentary for another day. Meanwhile, coming to Switch, great. Coming to Smash, potentially. We discussed in our in our Smash episode. Great, love it too. Undertale deserves a lot of recognition. It was remarkable.
Now,
I don't
Archie-
get their fandom.
Archie says he would love Conker to come back. It's another one, just like Banjo-Kazooie. All of the great people that used to work at Rareware left to make Playtonic, which made Ukulele, and whatever you thought of that game, those are all the old guys that used to make Banjo and Conker and Donkey Kong Country. They're all doing Playtonic now. So I'm afraid that even if they did make a new Conker game in the current Rareware, it would have none of the original team, which can also not be a bad thing. But I don't think they have anybody that wants to make a Conker game over there right now. Sadly,
Yeah.
it seems.
Also-
Conker for Smash though. though.
Conquer was unique in a time when, like, you know, the violence in video games topic was so heated, you know, and like everybody was, you know, any magazine, any home gardens parenting magazine you crack open was like, video games are ruining our nation and polluting our kids. And despite the president of the United States, who will go unnamed during this broadcast because I don't want to make it political, kind of reopening that debate in the, you know, in the larger scale of exactly what it was 15 years ago. Conquer came out in a time when everyone was so scared that, like, video games were ruining their kids' brains or, you know, like making them to violent tendencies. And then they made Conquer in a time where it was like, guess what? You could strap a machine gun to a squirrel, make him hungover, and take all of these cartoony bits and it was almost social commentary as much as it was an actual game. I don't think you can recreate that in the current time. It would feel disingenuous and a little bit unremarkable because there's so many violent video games out there right now. M-rated video games are a dime a dozen these days. They sell like candy.
Yeah.
You have, if you make an M-rated video game that is blatantly marketed towards early teens, you can find commercial success in that. It used to be so taboo. And that was like where Conquer stands in infamy.
Well, because in the old days, you'd have to have your mammy go in and approve of
Right.
the sale. Now kids they have their mom's credit card on their Steam account. They're buying games.
Right, or some relative gives you a gift card and is like, whatever this turns out to be, I don't know, I'm absolving myself of the guilt. Sort of thing. It is what it is. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I really don't. I don't think that's like an issue.
So,
But-
Mr. Scott DeKalen oh, sorry, were you finished?
No, same thing.
Were you Finnish? Are you Swedish? Scott asks if you could make any game. What
up,
genre?
Trip? I'm saying hello from the past future.
The past.
Ooh.
I think we've. I'll answer this again, but yeah, I mean, I love RPGs. So if I had the money, if I had $100 million, I would make an RPG. But to be honest with you, if I had $100 million, I'd probably go make a film. See us.
Right.
But yeah, let's.
We have more ideas there for what it's worth. We're not exactly game developers, though I keep trying.
Because yeah, what he said.
Yeah, for sure. Making games is hard, it turns out. Not that I'm making excuses for myself, I'm just simply stating.
Oh, here's another blast from the past. Hockey Song asks, do you guys like MMORPGs? Which we have answered this every week, and we will continue to say that we love the Old Republic, we loved WoW back in the day, and we loved a lot of other things. They're all
We
good.
enjoyed Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh,
as
yeah,
well.
Elder Scrolls
we
Online was
enjoyed
dope.
it. I wouldn't say it grabbed me, but I would look back and say like that was a good MMO. Not
And
for
a
me,
shout out
but
to
that
Guild Wars 2.
Guild Wars 2 was a great MMO. Continues to be good. ArenaNet, make more games.
Archie says that chair spin though.
Yeah.
Yeah, my chair spin game is like off the chain today.
Yeah, right. So a group of what is it? A group of characters that I believe is the word Rex is asking is stating that every LGN game or LJN game should get a remake. To which, if you guys are familiar with those, that is the Jaws 1987, Karate Kid 1987, Back to the Future 1990, Judgment Day 1991, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure 1991, Friday the 13th in 1989. We're talking
super
about
deep
some
cuts.
wow throwbacks. To which I say, not every single one of those needs to be remade, man. Not every single one of those needs to be remade. I would absolutely settle for maybe WrestleMania. Maybe WrestleMania would be a good one. The True Lies! The True Lies video game,
True
man.
Lies,
oh
Lies
my
of the
god. Yeah, right? The bridge is out! The bridge is out! Warlock from 1994, that could be dope. That could make a big one. Cutthroat Island, that could make an
What?
appearance.
It wasn't even a good movie.
It wasn't, but as a video game, I think Cutthroat Island could really smash into that like battle royale market.
Actually, Sea of Thieves kind of brought this up for me, or at least it kind of wrote... I've just thought of this just now, guys. Pay no attention to my preconceived notions. I know a lot of people hate the movie Waterworld, but it's actually kind of dope in a fun 90s
I love
way.
the movie Waterworld.
Yeah, Waterworld's actually pretty cool at a time when Kevin Costner was awesome. I would love to see a brand new, like, open world water world game. That would be so dope.
Actually,
let's make that happen.
Let's do
please.
that.
All right. Yeah, we're just about there. If you've got maybe answer one more question, I think we're good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna blitz through them and whatnot. People are now asking for chair spinning simulator, so we'll get right on that.
On it.
VGN releases chair spinning simulator, so that's all good.
RG says, I need a good video game with Christopher Walken. You know, when I look at you, I need a taco.
It needs to be a walking simulator.
Christopher Walken.
Which is, for unfamiliar with those guys unfamiliar with walking simulators, it's games that involve a lot of walking. Like, people have called World of Warcraft a walking simulator. Or a lot of other point-and-click adventures. So to that, I translate that and regurgitate out that the next King's Quest needs to be actively narrated by Christopher Walken.
It just quotes from his movies. 2 mice go in a bucket of cream.
Yeah, that's all good. Crazy Hannah pointing out Roller Coaster Tycoon tried to do a good game like Planet Coaster but failed. Yeah, whatever. Don't care, because here's the thing. Planet Coaster exists, is a real game that you can get for a reasonable price and play on most computers. So,
EDMG,
do that!
EDMG says Final Fantasy 13 remade into a game that doesn't suck. Well, that would just be making
That's lofty hopes, my man. That's a lofty hopes.
All right.
Because here's the thing about Final Fantasy 13. It's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad. It's bad, and it's bad in a way that I don't know you can just salvage it. They already played the let's blow up a world and create a better world sort of. They already played that in 14. Don't think you can do it again in 13. I don't know. I'm not a game developer, as I stated plainly about 2 minutes ago.
Sure. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you so much for watching Video Game Talk right here on the Video Game Network. Don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to this, hit that bell to stay notified. Garrett.
What do you want from me?
I don't know, just say something. He says nothing but waves
Goodbye.
with a melancholy goodbye.
Yeah, I'm concerned about this cut on my thumb and how it's going to relate to me handling hot sauce later.
Cool. Not relevant to this video. Hi, I'm your asshole friend, Rich. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys.
Goodbye. 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 Let's give him a chair spin. Let's give him a chair spin. Ready? Ready? Whoa.